Well, thank you very much. Thanks to Lauren, the librarian, for getting me here, and my publicist, my niece, Shoshana, who's instrumental in making sure it was known I was visiting and getting everybody out here. So I'm a cartoonist, and I've drawn a lot of books, and written books, comic books, and I'm going to show some of the things that I do, and we're going to do a lot of drawing together. And can everybody draw an imperfect circle in this room? Everybody can? You can only draw perfect. I'm going to draw a panda bear. You like panda bears? Very good. Very good panda bears. Okay.
Oh, that's a snake or something. That's an elephant.
Ta-da! Is that good?
That's an elephant.
Here's the first thing that you know, like when you look at a like a comic you like, or you look at the Adventures in Cartooning book, doesn't it look like it's really easy to draw? Like it does it good. Sometimes I have to like look up what a panda looks like, or sometimes I have to talk to people what a panda looks like. So just help me out here, okay? A panda, does it have a square head, a long head? Raise your hand. Does a panda? What kind of head does a panda have? A circular head. Does it have floppy? So okay, so let's do this one thing at a time. It's got a circular head. Okay. Its ears, are they floppy ears? Or are they like pointy ears? Are they like an elephant's ears? They're kind of round, like Mickey Mouse? Are panda ears, are they black or white or striped or? They're black. Okay, so I'm working with those. So we're like crowdsourcing this drawing here, right? So we're going to color this in. All right. A panda's nose is it long? Is it a snout? What you got there? Yeah. Like a cat, like a triangle? We can try it, no? Look. Kind of like a circle. Hold on. Wait, I just tried the circles. You guys can do all this now. Okay. How about pandas? This is a tough one. Panda's eyes. You know what's funny? If you can recognize something, it means you can see it in your brain, right? Right? So you can recognize, if you saw a panda, you'd recognize a panda. So if you close your eyes and you really think of what a panda looks like, what are its eyes like? Who can really see a panda pretty carefully, yeah?
Its eyes are circles.
Eyes are circles. Okay. What about the eyes, too? Something special about the eyes? They're covered around black, almost like a mask. Good. You guys are good at visual imagination. So here we go. Little circle. And they're kind of like. Now it's a panda with a headband. And now the panda's got, he's ready to eat. Oh, someone said Kung Fu Panda. How many people said? I'm gonna do something here, and Sean, I might need you for assistance, okay?
Ooh, Sean.
Can you? I'm gonna ask you to draw a face in that, would you? Thank you. Can we give it a, those are the eyes? Can I give it a mouth? And I'm going to give it antennas too. Not your puppy.
Bunny.
And let's see what we got here. When you do comics, right? When you do comics, it's a story that happens over time, and you have a character, and you have to draw your character over and over and over and over and over. How many people have ever tried to draw a comic, and they draw their character with so many details that it's really hard to draw in another position or another, another shape? Yeah? So what I've learned as a cartoonist is that when I draw a character, if I use a simple shape, it doesn't have to be a circle. It could be like almost. Oh, this is an. Oh, that does look like someone said an alien. Fine. Take me to your reader. But see, if I can just redraw that shape again, and I want the alien looking this way.
A cyclops.
Well, not yet, but the alien could be talking to a cyclops. What I want you to do, you're going to give out your paper. Here's your assignment. I want you to design 2 characters. And I will you 2 characters. They could be an animal. They could be a made-up animal. They could be an alien. They could be an insect, which is an animal. You could draw a ninja. You could draw a superhero. But I want you to do it with a simple shape. So design 2 characters. You can give them a body. Same thing with the body. Take me to your leader and give me pizza. So, let's hand out some paper and some pencils. And design 2 characters. And use
Wow, Faye, that's good.
I saw somebody like drawing a pizza character. It was really cool. Like your characters don't have to be people, right? Like I saw someone drawing SpongeBob, right? And that's cool. Like I tried to draw SpongeBob, and it came out like a piece of toast. So now I have Toasty, and I have Shelly, who's an egg. Shelly, and I'm a leaf. So we got Leafy, or a leaf. So you don't have to, even though like I drew SpongeBob, the way I learned when I was your age, I learned how to draw comics by copying people. And I would copy like Charlie Brown and Peanuts. And did you know that where they make a lot of Peanut stuff is like right up in Center Road, they're really close? I visited there yesterday, it was awesome. And that's how I learned. I can still draw. Like this is from my memory of drawing this 100 times when I was your age. There was Snoopy on his doghouse, and his ear would hang down, and he would be on his doghouse. And Charlie Brown was a circle, and he had this thing on his head. And I still remember, and his eyes were commas. So it doesn't look like Charlie Brown, and that's interesting because Picasso talked about style, and he said a style is your imperfections, right? If I do a circle and you do a circle, there's going to be each one is going to be not perfect, and the way they're not perfect is what your style is. So when you try to draw and you don't think you're being perfect, you are being perfect. It's your own perfect style that's coming through in your imperfections. Yeah, Charlie Brown looks like his head got caught in a vice there a little bit. If you want to learn how to cartoon, it's okay to copy people. And if someone's copying you right now, you should be like proud. Yeah. Copy, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, try that out. Put that antenna back. I just copied somebody's SpongeBob. And then the way I draw it would be kind of imperfect. So you want to learn something new about it? One more thing about cartooning that I want you to add to your characters. This is your next assignment. So right now, I'm furious. Do I seem furious? No. I seem furious? Right. So, there's language, right? There's language. I'm furious. That's language, right? I'm furious. I said it. But then there's body language. Right? So, when you look at my book, the Adventures in Cartooning book, they don't even have a face, right? The knight doesn't have a face. It's like this. It's like a circle with a visor and a little feather. But you can always tell how the knight's feeling because of the body language. The body language is happy, like, yeah! It's like adventure! Or furious. It's like, oh. So, remember, we made our little Cyclops? I don't know who's. So the Cyclops is like, oh, I'm furious. Do they look furious? No. But how about like now with smoke coming out of his ears and the expression, and his arms are up, and I drew the lines thicker and made them more shaky, right? So your next assignment, you could use a new piece of paper, you could use the back of a piece of paper. But your next assignment, I want you to have two characters talking to each other, and one is really happy, or really furious, or really shy. You know? Or really goofy, or really sleepy. So your next assignment, draw two characters, and I'm going to show you two characters, and they're reacting to one another. So, you could have somebody looking. Okay, so you have this character, and he's saying, whatever. You know what that means? Whatever, he's cool. And you have this character, whoa. And he's like, surrender!
Whatever.
And he's like, oh, drool. He's like, oh, he's got his hands in his pockets. He's like, whatever, it's cool. So, let's say you draw two characters who are having some kind of interaction. Can you do that? Can you try that? So I want to take this and I'm actually gonna fold this in half so I have a line here that's exactly halfway, and then because this doesn't fold this way, here I'll do it this way and I'll know my halfway point, and there's a little line there. And now I'm from Vermont, okay? And right now in Vermont there is something that covers the ground. It is white, exactly, a lot of snow, and people ski on the snow. So I'm gonna have a character, and they're going down this mountain, and they are going to be on skis, and they've got a hat. And you can see I'm just using really simple shapes. Yay! Now, here's a little trick I'm going to show you. I see a lot of people are lettering and putting in a word balloon, right? You know what a word balloon is?
Yeah.
Right. So how many times have you ever started cartooning and you draw your word balloon and then you can't fit everything in the word balloon? Has that ever happened to people? I see that happening. Here's the trick. You ready for the trick? Write the words first, right? Exactly. So here's somebody skiing. Woo! Woo! I love Vermont in the winter. And now I'm drawing my word balloon. And there they go. Woo! They're having the time of their life. But here's my background. I'll draw this again. You know what's right here? Oh no! Whoomp! Whoomp! It's a sound effect, right? Whoomp! So that is my comic. I did my lettering first, and then I put the word balloon around it. I drew my character simple, and I just did one thing after another. Question. Whenever I make, people say, how do you make a comic? How do you make a story? I want to make a story. How do you do it? Look at what we're doing right now. What's the first thing we did? We started making up characters, right? Yes. And we made up characters that made us excited, right? Like our pets, things we watch. Like characters that made us, and then we made characters to talk to each other, right? And then you put two characters next to each other, and I write books. I don't say, I'm going to write a book about a treasure hunt, and then this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and now I'm going to draw it. I can't do that. When I'm writing a book, I just think of this guy. He's got a lot of hair, right? This dog is very angry. And he says, you need a haircut. This is what a cartoonist does. They say, why is this dog angry? Maybe because he was walking his dog. Maybe it's his dog. I'll put just as I'm thinking out, like he has a leash. And he's like, you need a haircut. Well, why does he need a haircut? Well, maybe this dog's got a little lump on his head. So if I was writing a comic right now, I might be like, okay, this dog is going to go to the hairdresser school. He's going to take lessons, and he's going to be the only dog in the world who has his own salon. Yes. And so that might be the story I go. But I didn't know I was going to write a book about that or a story about that until I just started doing that. So.
Let's say you have a story.
Yeah.
How do you think about what the first panel is going to be?
Oh, when you have a story, how do you think about the first panel? This is a really good question. Sometimes when I start a book, I'll start and I might start in the middle, right? I'll draw something that I like, and then later on I have to fill in the beginning and fill in the end. So a lot of times, the first thing you draw isn't the first panel. Does that make sense? You might do that a little bit later. Yeah. Who's got? Anybody else got a question? Yes? I have been drawing since I was your age and maybe even a little bit. I would copy peanuts. Yeah, I mean, I start with simple and then I add details as I go. I don't start with the details. If I start with the details, it gets hard for me to understand how to draw the character in space or repeat the character. But like for a lot of my kids' book, what I'm trying to do is encourage people to copy, like I learned from peanuts, and draw and just get going. But the more comfortable you are with the drawing, then you can add more and more details and more details. And some people like drawing details and start with the details. And that's okay too. I work at a cartooning school and we have visitors come every week. And here's the one thing that I've learned. This is probably the most important thing I've learned as a cartoonist. So think about this. It's really, if you remember one thing about cartooning, this is it. There is no right way to do this. I know I'm here like, oh, this cartoonist, he knows the right way to do it. Every cartoonist that I've met, and I've met hundreds, they all have a different way of doing it. So sometimes when you're working, you're like, oh, I don't know the right way. You got to figure it out. but there's no other person that can do it other than you. There's only your way. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do you start with the drawings or do you start with the words?
Yeah, it's a great question. Do I start with the drawings or do I start with the word? Sometimes it's both. Like sometimes in my journals or my sketchbook that I write ideas, I'll have a word that I like. And I just write the word big and I make it into a cartoon. And I start thinking about that word and doing doodles around it. But oftentimes I often start with drawings. And here's the other thing, I don't think of the words and the pictures as separate. Right? I think of myself as a writer who writes with pictures. Like comics is like a language, and you can become fluent in it. You can become more comfortable with it. So that's why I also like, when you think about the alphabet was pictures before it was these little symbols. They were actually pictures that people drew, and then they got kind of like simpler and simpler, and they became the alphabet. So we all kind of write with pictures. If you send text and you send emojis, that's writing with pictures, right? Emojis. Yes. Next to you. Yes.
What inspired you to do comics?
What inspired me to do comics? Well, I don't know. I just loved reading them. So I wanted to make them. But what inspired me to make kids' books were my own kids. Yeah. Yes.
What's your favorite comic book that you haven't written?
What's the favorite comic book that I haven't written? That's a really good question. My favorite comic book. I like so many of them. I know that's not a good answer, but I love, as a kid I loved Peanuts, and those were really good. And there's a cartoonist named William Steig who created Shrek. You might have seen the movie. But that was originally a cartoonist. And he did a book called Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. Anybody read Sylvester and the Magic Pebble? I still cry when I read that book. It's a great book. So he's a cartoonist who I really love. And there's just so many great cartoonists working right now.